Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Islamic Economics Series. In this explainer, we're going to be delving into a really fascinating paper from Western economic thought that gives us a powerful lens to examine our own principles. It's this idea of the market, not as some kind of machine, but as a truly creative process.
So, we're about to explore a powerful idea from economists James Buchanan and Victor Vanberg that completely reframes how we look at the market. But to really get a grip on their argument, we've got to first understand a revolution that happened in science. It was this major shift away from what you could call the Newtonian paradigm, this idea of a predictable, almost clockwork universe, and a move towards a new evolutionary synthesis. This new way of thinking sees the world as unpredictable, always evolving, and just full of creative potential. This shift from thinking of things as a machine to thinking of them as a living organism is absolutely key.
All right, so here's our roadmap. We'll trace how this scientific shift found its echo in economics and how it kicked off a major debate about what an entrepreneur really does. That's going to lead us to three totally different ways of looking at the market, and it all builds up to this profound vision of the economy as a process of continuous open-ended creation.
Okay, so let's kick things off with that fundamental shift in science.
A key figure here is the Nobel laureate Ilya Prigogine. What he showed was that in really complex systems, like economies, tiny little events can have massive effects. He called them bifurcation points. Think of them like forks in the road where the system could suddenly go in a bunch of different directions. And the path it takes, it's often random, it's unique, and you can't go back. So history, from this perspective, isn't some straight line. It's more like a constantly branching tree of possibilities.
Now that scientific insight is just profound. It means novelty isn't some weird exception, it's a core feature of our world. So the big question is, where do we see this exact same idea challenging the old way of thinking in economics?
Well, the parallel challenge in economics comes from a school of thought called radical subjectivism, and it's most associated with G.L.S. Shackle. And his argument is a real mind-bender. The future isn't just a mystery. At the very moment you make a choice, it literally does not exist. It's a blank canvas that we are all actively painting with our decisions, right now.
And this is exactly why standard economic models, even the really sophisticated ones, kind of miss the whole point. See, they operate as if the future is some kind of puzzle that we just need to solve. But Shackle's argument is that it's not a puzzle. It's a story that's still being written. And if human choice is the author of that story, then this whole idea of a predictable equilibrium is, well, it's basically a fiction.
So this radical view really sets the stage for a critical look at one of the most important figures in market theory, the entrepreneur.
And this is where the hugely influential economist Israel Kirzner comes into the picture. He tries to kind of bridge the gap here. For Kirzner, the entrepreneur is defined by one word: alertness. They're the people who spot mistakes, who see opportunities that everyone else missed, and by acting on them, they help bring the market into a better, more coordinated state.
Kirzner even argues that entrepreneurs do this across time, spotting gaps between today's market and what the market will be in the future. But here's the powerful subjectivist counterpunch. If the future is just a blank page, how can failing to read it be called an error? You can't make a mistake about something that doesn't even exist yet.
And that's really the crucial point, isn't it? You can discover a price difference that exists right now, but you can't discover a future reality that has yet to be brought into being. This is the central critique. Entrepreneurial activity literally creates a future that is different because of the choices made. It doesn't just find what was already out there waiting.
You see, this critique shows that Kirzner's entrepreneur, as dynamic as it is still kind of working towards a predefined goal, fixing errors. This suggests his view is still teleological or goal-oriented. To really break away from that, we need a whole new framework for understanding what the market actually is. And this table just lays out the whole debate so neatly. First, you've got the textbook allocative view, which basically treats the market like a big computer, always optimizing for efficiency. Then you have the view from Hayek and Kirzner, the discovery process, where the market is more like a search engine, finding opportunities that already exist. Now notice, both of these are goal-oriented, right? They're judged by how well they hit a known target. But this third view is a complete departure. It sees the market as a creative process, like an empty canvas, where the whole point isn't to find something, but to create something brand new.
So, what are the real implications of taking this third, non-teleological view seriously? Well, when we start to see the market as a creative process, we realize it doesn't have some grand purpose. It doesn't maximize social welfare or minimize costs. It's not a tool aimed at some target. Instead, it's more like an arena, a set of rules that encourages people to go after their own goals creatively and, in doing so, to generate novel value for everybody else.
And this perspective offers a much more powerful critique of central planning. From the allocative view, planning fails because of bad incentives. From the discovery view, it fails because of the famous knowledge problem. But from this creative view, the failure is even deeper. I mean, even an all-knowing planner could, in theory, solve the allocation and knowledge problems. But what can't they do? They can never dream up the innovations that haven't even been imagined yet. They can't script the unscripted, open-ended creativity that truly defines the market process.
So let's just bring it all together. We've traced this really powerful idea all the way from a revolution in science to a deep debate in economics. We've seen how the subjectivist argument, that the future is created, not discovered, changes absolutely everything, and it leads us to a pretty stunning conclusion. Maybe the greatest defense of the market isn't about efficiency at all. Maybe its true, unique value lies in its power to unleash human creativity.
And that leaves us with the provocative question you see here. If the market's purpose isn't efficiency, then what in the world is it for? The answer this paper suggests is profound. Its purpose is to be the institutional framework for human flourishing, to be a space for the creation of futures that none of us can even imagine yet.
See you on the next one. Subscribe, like, and comment.